This is a masterclass in brutal honesty. John Cleese is a true legend in Hollywood, and unlike many in Hollywood who tiptoe around controversial topics, he has never been one to hold back. In today's world of cancel culture and political correctness, he's had plenty to say, from calling out the hypocrisy of the outrage mob to exposing how political correctness is leading to increased divisions in society. His takes have been nothing short of legendary, and today we're covering it all. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
What is it about cancel culture that interests you?
Well, it's a relatively new phenomenon, and of course it affects comedians because a lot of us do jokes that the cancel culture people, the woke people, don't think are right or don't think are correct. So I've been asked to do the program, so I've been exploring it. I've been reading quite a lot of books and trying to understand what it's all about, but it's quite a complex matter, and it seems to be boiling down to the fact that I think some people are rather overprotective. I mean, we all want parents to be protective, but we don't want them to be overprotective because that raises children who are not perhaps very well going to adapt to the real world.
Exactly. The goal of political correctness or cancel culture, or whatever you want to call it, is about making sure that people self-censor. And that is a dangerous road to go down. Who decides what's acceptable to say and what isn't? Some self-appointed moral authority in Hollywood? A bunch of internet activists who get outraged for a living? On top of that, enforcing these ever-changing rules on every single person in society isn't just about politeness. It's about control. It forces people to constantly watch their words out of fear of backlash, and that's not free speech. That is societal-level censorship. And it only benefits those in power. John expanded on this exact point in another interview, and he had some interesting thoughts on this.
Newspapers every day offend me with their laziness, their nastiness, and their inaccuracy. But I'm not going to expect someone to stop that happening. I should just simply speak out about it. You know, sometimes when people are offended, they want somebody to just come in and say, right, stop that, to whoever is offending them. And of course, as a former chairman of the BBC once said, there are some people one would wish to offend. Described to a fellow that I helped write to books about psychology and psychiatry. He was a renowned psychiatrist in London called Robin Skinner, said something very interesting to me. He said, if people can't control their own emotions, then they have to start trying to control other people's behavior. And when you're around super sensitive people, you cannot relax and be spontaneous because you've no idea what's going to upset them next.
Graham Norton has some different opinions, though, as he called out John's comments, noting, quote, Cleese has been very public recently about complaining about what you can't say, adding, it must be very hard to be a man of a certain age who's been able to say whatever he likes for years, and now suddenly there's some accountability. Alright, yeah, Graham Norton, you're the Jimmy Kimmel of Britain. Well, accountability to whom and for what exactly? It's like he missed the entire point of the man's argument. But this is a late-night host that we're talking about, so you can't have such high expectations from him, because he's not Conan. And it's not like John's concerns come out of thin air. Recent statistics show they're becoming a reality that we can't ignore. For instance, a 2023 study from the Foundation of Individual Rights and Expression found that, quote, college faculty members today are more fearful than during the second Red Scare, with 72% of conservative faculty, 56% of moderate faculty, and even 40% of liberal faculty afraid of losing their jobs or reputations due to their speech. Let that sink in. These numbers are straight from the place that should encourage free exchange of ideas, but not anymore because everyone is scared for their livelihoods. John even had Rob Schneider on his show, and they pinpointed where this issue started from.
In the old days, you offended people on the right.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the old sort of soldiers and all those kind of people, or the ones who were very, very historic in their kind of orientation. Now most of the offense is on the left.
It is true. I think that you have the offense, to be honest, I think it's like they're both at their extremes, back to back, thinking and being the same way. Whether it's the left, you're here, and they're complaining about something, and it's not too far removed from the right on this side complaining, but they are back to back and complaining. But I do think the left it's coming from a place of, it's an intolerance, but it's dressed up as manners.
Yes, it's certainly intolerant, because what I think I don't understand about them is Do they have, genuine, do they have a sense of humor?
I think so, but I think it's intellectualized to where they can't find themselves laughing. It has to be okayed because it could look badly upon them.
That's because it's basically hive thinking disguised as social progress. The idea is simple. There's only one way to think and speak, and if you don't fall in line, well, you're wrong. By the way, if you notice you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? This whole fiasco started in the 80s with noble intentions of being more inclusive and addressing inequalities, but with the rise of social media and 2 terms of Obama, PC culture exploded globally. Suddenly, everyone was under a microscope and the pressure to be mindful of our language became a game. Eventually, society became so divided that it led to people not finding common ground anymore. John even pointed this out during his BBC interview and did not hold back.
One of the great problems these days is that everyone wants to be right, and nobody really wants to listen to other people's opinions. Historians used to say about the English that we had a great ability for compromise, and that was why we were quite successful. I don't see much sign of that now. I just see a lot of Greeks on either side absolutely convinced that they're right, without really being interested in trying to look at the facts and the theories that are involved in these kind of decisions. And if you look at America now, and its highly polarized society, you realize that people really aren't listening to each other at all, because the Trump supporters watch Fox News and get one version of the news, and other people watch other channels and get a different version of the news. They both think that the version they're getting is right, which is naive.
That is absolutely true. Obviously, politics played a part in this divide too, but the left and right have essentially become 2 separate camps with completely different views on culture. That difference, only deepening over time, brings us to the polarized state that we're in today. And it's not just the US, Europe's in a similar boat. For instance, people in the UK and Germany are getting arrested for liking a meme or praying in public, all because someone was offended. It's messed up. Fortunately, things in the US are slowly heading back to normal, with common sense making a comeback, but folks across the Atlantic are not showing signs of improvement, and things might eventually end up like this.
And the whole point about humor, the whole point about comedy, and believe you me, I've thought about this, is that all comedy is critical. Even if you make a very inclusive joke, like, how'd you make God laugh? Answer, tell him your plans. Now, that's about the human condition. It's not excluding anyone. It's saying we all have all these plans which probably won't come, and isn't it funny how we still believe they're going to happen? So that's a very inclusive joke. It's still critical. All humor is critical. And if you start saying, oh, we mustn't criticize or offend them, then humor's gone. With humor goes a sense of proportion. And then as far as I'm concerned, you're living in 1984.
That might sound like fear-mongering, but please believe me, it is not. Imagine if Elon didn't buy Twitter, for instance. The left would have completely dominated the narrative. We'd be hearing from people like Tim Walz every day telling us exactly what we can and cannot say according to him, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable. But I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to see these eye-opening videos, please share the videos with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.